It's being described as a war zone, a scene out of a movie.
You would never expect it to happen so close to home. Fire billowing, you can smell the jet fuel, you can hear screams.
A small business jet crashes into a neighborhood, erupting into flames, homes and cars catching fire, neighbors awakened in the middle of the night. A family's desperate rush to escape caught on camera.
Come on, let's go!
Let's go!
Go!
Hey, I don't think we're gonna get the girls over.
Yeah.
What girls? The dogs?
Dogs, get someone jump in there. Too heavy.
Tonight, the investigation into what went wrong just beginning as San Diegans deal with the aftermath.
So far, we know 6 people on board the Cessna 550 are feared dead after it went down early this morning in Murphy Canyon. 3 are confirmed to be employees of the music agency Sound Talent Group. At least 8 people on the ground were injured. They went to the evacuation center and were treated there. At least 15 homes are damaged, with 100 people evacuated from the neighborhood area near Sample and Salmon Streets. A Navy official says this is one of the largest military housing units in the world.
ABC 10 News has had crews on the ground all day. We continue our team coverage this evening with ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo.
And Kimberly and Ben, most of the streets here are still blocked off. And if you look over my left shoulder where you see the damage to the front of the home behind me and to that truck, just moments ago, we saw investigators walking through the area, taking a detailed look at what was left behind. More than 12 hours later, we are still smelling that jet fuel while those investigators try to figure out what went wrong. A terrifying Thursday morning as a plane slammed into this neighborhood.
It's in Rockview, the Salmon Street explosion.
The view from above, apocalyptic along Sample and Salmon Streets in Murphy Canyon. Debris marking the path of the plane as it ripped through the street.
I ran down the block. It's draining on the corner of Minuteman and Taussig.
On the ground, this house taking the brunt of the plane's impact.
Agent 39 had seen multiple vehicles, multiple structures on fire.
Cars along the street engulfed in flames. Neighbors rushing to help one another evacuate. Miraculously, no one on the ground in this military housing complex was killed.
The military families did a phenomenal job as firefighters were getting on scene to help one another, get people out of houses and going. I cannot commend them enough.
By Thursday afternoon, the FAA and NTSB on scene trying to figure out what went wrong during this flight. According to the NTSB, the flight left Teterboro, New Jersey late Wednesday night, stopping in Wichita, Kansas to refuel, then heading towards Montgomery Field, but ultimately crashing before landing, striking power lines about 2 miles southeast of the airport. The air traffic control tower closed at the time of the crash.
Fairly normal for a small airport like this to be closed. Generally, they're open between 6 or 7 in the morning and 8 at night.
The fire department offering condolences to the families of those on board the plane, but acknowledging this could have been much worse for the families in this neighborhood.
We had one of the best outcomes that I could possibly say that came from this, because when I was coming on scene, I did not expect that same outcome as I got here.
And the NTSB says they plan on being here through Friday. They say we could have a preliminary report about this crash in about 2 weeks. They are asking that anyone who has video, ring video, cell phone video of what happened, give them a call, or if anybody witnessed this, they do want to hear from you. And again, right now, they did also learn that there is a black box, but they say that that has not yet been recovered, Kimberly. So still very early stages of this investigation right now.
Yes, so much to come. Laura, you have been out there all day long. How has the scene changed there?
Kimberly, well, I can tell you, I think the thing that stands out the most is that consistent smell of jet fuel. What's different now, and you'll notice, is these SDPD barricades. Those were placed late this afternoon, and we used to, at the beginning, we were seeing investigators going up and down this street where I'm standing. Now we are seeing them mostly behind those barricades, really focusing on that investigation. We believe the barricades went up to preserve the integrity of that investigation. Kimberly?
And Laura Acevedo reporting live from the scene in Murphy Canyon. Thank you for the update.
Meanwhile, a temporary evacuation center was set up this morning at Miller Elementary School. Neighbors who had to evacuate stopped by to get food, water, and shelter. Volunteers with the Red Cross and San Diego police officers were there to offer hope and help, especially since some neighbors had to evacuate at a moment's notice.
It was something you're not prepared for. I didn't have any emergency stuff set aside. I didn't know what to grab. Just got my kids and we tried to get out, and thanks to my community, we were able to make it to safety.
We're told families in need of assistance can now go to Hancock Elementary.
While the plane barreled through the Murphy Canyon neighborhood, destroying everything in its path, there was one house that took a direct hit. ABC 10 News reporter Adam Rakusin has the exclusive story of survival from the family inside.
A fireball illuminated the night sky. The sound accompanying it almost deafening.
Come on, let's go! Let's go! Go!
In an instant, this quiet San Diego community was violently rocked awake.
I woke up to a loud explosion. My wife was screaming, and she's like, there's a fire.
That fire, a private jet that dropped from the sky, smashing into Ben and Shurjana McCarty's living room.
All I could see was fire, and the roof of the house was torn off.
You could see the night sky from our living room.
The couple immediately grabbed their kids and pets.
Each person just grabbed a dog and a child.
They scrambled for a way out of the house. The front blocked.
We went outside to go out the back door, but then unfortunately the side gate leads towards the front, and I could see the debris was on fire right there, so we can't even open it to get out.
Luckily, the other side was open. Neighbors raced over to help.
Hey, we gotta be careful. This thing's still explosive.
Clearing the way for a ladder and path to safety.
We got the kids over the fence, and then I jumped over the fence. They brought a ladder, and the dogs, we got them both there, and then he eventually got out onto the other side.
Out of harm's way, the family finally got a chance to reflect on what had happened. The place they've called home for the past 3 years, and everything in it, gone.
Us and the kids would sit in our front porch, and we'd look up, and my sons would always be excited, saying, plane, watching the planes go by, and like, ironically, right where we were sitting is where that plane hit.
Ben says items can be replaced. His family can't. As for whether they'd ever live there again,
absolutely
I don't think
not.
so.
I'm not going to live over that flight line again.
Not under a flight,
between
yeah.
here and Montgomery, absolutely not.
Adam Rakusin, ABC 10 News.
From stories of survival to stories of heroics, many neighbors stepped in to help families trapped in their homes as they tried to escape the fires. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Coronel introduces us to one of those heroes. We want to warn you, some of the details are disturbing.
Talking to neighbors who tried to evacuate from their Murphy Canyon homes, they shared the difficulty they had because of the fences that surround their property. And these are pretty tall fences. I am 5'2", and you can see the difference in height. So basically, they needed residents to come in and help, and also use a ladder.
You can smell the jet fuel. You can hear screams. You can hear, people yelling to get away, evacuate. It's just kind of surreal. You never really expect this to happen, let alone so close to your house.
Gilbert Gonzalez couldn't believe his eyes as he ran down his street, trying to help his neighbors out of their homes. This is cell phone video showing the aftermath. Jessica Schrader was one of the neighbors trapped inside.
And I'm just gathering everyone up, but we couldn't get out because the gate goes right into the front yard. There was a dead pilot in my front yard.
Unable to go out her front door, she took her kids to the back. But getting out of there was going to be difficult because of the tall fence. That's when neighbors rushed in to help.
Ran, grabbed the ladder, came back, threw the ladder over the fence, and started to assist to get the wife out.
Jessica walks us through how they escaped.
It's about 8 foot tall. So we were able to climb the ladder and jump onto their trampoline to escape, me and my children. And I was able to throw my 2 weenie dogs over as well, the fence, and onto the trampoline.
Jessica says as she tries to process the events that unfolded this morning, one thing's for sure. She'll always be grateful for the neighbors who risked their own lives to make sure her entire family made it out in time. Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Turning now to the investigation into this deadly crash, retired pilot and aviation expert Rich Martindale is joining us now to give us insight. Thank you for joining us this evening.
You bet.
And we still don't know if weather was the main factor in this crash, but we do know nearby the visibility was as low as a quarter mile at Miramar. How difficult is that scenario?
Well, it's actually below the authorized minimums for that approach. The basic minimum is a half mile or 3/4 of a mile to be able to fly that approach. And if it's down to a quarter mile visibility, the approach is basically unusable. The pilot didn't know that because they didn't have the information for Montgomery specifically. And there could be a variance between Montgomery and Miramar. And basically the rules he's operating under allows him to go look, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work out well.
You're absolutely right. Montgomery Field at that very time was 2 miles. Miramar was a quarter mile and a half mile at times. So you're right, that variance there. But you also mentioned something about Montgomery. The tower was closed. Does that make a difference?
No, that doesn't make any difference at all. That's very normal for Montgomery. I've flown into Montgomery at night under instrument conditions when the tower is closed. Approach control sets you up on approach. You get handed off to the tower frequency, which is still active, and you can talk on it to anybody else in the pattern. And then you fly the approach, and once you land, you cancel your clearance on the phone with approach control. So that's normal. But what was unusual is the controller noticed that the pilot, the aircraft was basically higher than normal for the approach to be able to get set up for the approach, and the controller offered the pilot vectors to give him some more time to get down to altitude, and the pilot declined and said, no, we can make it. So there's a certain altitude you're supposed to be at to start the approach. He was looking like he wasn't going to make it. The controller offered him the ability to get some more time. He said, no, we can make it. So the question is, why was he not on the glide slope? If he was properly on the glide slope, obviously he would not hit the ground. So he's below where he should have been, and that's what they're going to have to look at.
Are there any standard procedures, especially when visibility is low, that you can tell us should have happened?
Oh, yes. He's got a standard approach that everybody flies. And he was cleared for the GPS approach into the field, which is an accurate approach. It's got a glide slope. It tells you what altitude you're supposed to be at once you're on the glide slope. And it's just a matter of getting down to the right altitude to intercept the glide slope. And that's what the controller was watching and offering him the ability to make. So if you look at the altitude readout, you can see it's pretty steep. And if they get the flight recorders from the aircraft, that'll give them more information about what was going on getting into the approach.
Is there any pertinent information about a Cessna 550 in particular? Any known vulnerabilities, anything that you would point out?
It's a very stable airplane. It flies very nicely, perfectly easy to do that kind of an approach. The other thing they'll have to look at is how much recent experience the pilot had flying approaches. Flying skills are very perishable. And if you don't practice them repeatedly and recently, you can get rusty and not fly as well. So they'll be looking at his flying time. They'll be looking at his rest cycles, his life cycle in the 48 hours leading up to it, what he was doing. This is a long overnight flight, so your circadian rhythms need to be considered, whether or not he was up all day and then flying the night flight all night, or if he had a good rest period before that. That's all stuff that the investigation will take a look at.
Very good points you're bringing up. Is it unusual to be trying to come in at 3:45 in the morning?
Oh, no, airplanes fly at all hours of the day. It's just if you're going to be flying at that time regime, you need to make sure you're properly rested to be there. And that's what they'll have to look at, is what he was doing in New York before they started the flight that evening.
Aviation expert Rich Martindale, we appreciate your expertise on this issue, and we know we'll be talking much more about this in the weeks to come. Thank you for your time.
Glad to help.
And we'll have much more coverage of this deadly plane crash ahead. San Diegans are already stepping up to help their neighbors. Coming up, the overwhelming show of support. Plus, how the Humane Society is caring for animals affected by the crash.
And we have cooler weather headed our way into the weekend and a deepening marine layer spreading fog farther inland. I'll pinpoint that for your morning commute tomorrow and when we could see a little bit of rain this weekend.